Alright, moving to the next question. So first read the question. So having read the question, let's first understand all the aspects of the question. A landslide occurred in the middle of the night on 20th July 2023 in a remote mountain hamlet approximately 60 kilometers from Uttarkashi. So just keep writing. The moment you start reading this case study, start writing all the facets. So this landslide occurred, okay, 60 kilometers from Uttarkashi. The landslide was caused by torrential rain and has resulted in large scale destruction of the property and life. So destruction, it's quite obvious that whenever this will happen, destruction is a part of it. District magistrate of that area, you as a district magistrate, so this is where we come into picture, or you come into picture as a district magistrate of that area, have rushed to the spot with a team of doctors, NGOs, media and police along with numerous support staffs to oversee the rescue operation. Okay, so this is action part. Okay, next para states that a man came running to you with a request for urgent medical help for his pregnant wife who is in labor and is losing blood. You directed your medical team to examine his wife. They return and convey to you that this woman needs blood transfusion. So this is the requirement. The woman needs blood transfusion. Upon inquiry, you come to know that a few blood collection bags and blood group test kits are available in the ambulance accompanying your team. Few people of your team have already volunteered to donate blood. Okay, so these are the resources: test kits, bags. Okay, so these are the resources you have. Just write it down. Okay, being a physician who has graduated from AIMS, you know that blood transfusion needs to be procured only through a recognized blood bank. Your team members are divided on this issue. Some favor transfusion while some others oppose it. The doctors in the team are ready to facilitate the delivery provided they are not penalized for transfusion. Now you are in dilemma. Your professional training emphasizes on prioritizing service to humanity and saving lives of individuals. So these are some of the aspects, facts, figures that have been given in this. As a district magistrate, you were supposed to look into the matter of this landslide, where you have found that there is a pregnant wife who is losing blood and is in a labor state. Blood transfusion is required, and you have some resources available to you at the site, but at the same time the medical team which is accompanying you is divided on the opinion that this should be done through a recognized blood bank. The transfusion needs to be procured through a recognized blood bank, and hence if anything happens then they should not be responsible for it. Okay, now this dilemma part is with the district magistrate. Now the question is, what are the ethical issues involved in the case? So again, you can start this question with any of the mentioned process, that either you can be describing the facts of this whole case study, that this case study pertains to a situation where a woman is in labor and she requires a blood transfusion on compassionate grounds, and it is also there is also a issue of medical ethics in this. Okay, and how as a district magistrate and as a physician also the role gets divided on whether large number of people's life should be looked after first, or the woman who is in who's losing a lot of blood and is in labor is to be first looked after. So likewise, you can start this case study by giving an introduction. So the first question is, what are the ethical issues involved in the case? Well, the ethical issues, you can write 3 or 4 ethical issues in this. So the first issue could be this bona fide error, issue of bona fide error versus mala fide error. That is, the team is being divided that whether it should be done, carried out at the spot itself, or the blood should be procured from a recognized blood bank. So if this happens, then they should not be penalized for this. So this bona fide or mala fide error, I hope you must be aware of these terms, bona fide or mala fide error. So this comes from here. Okay. So the next issue could be role as a magistrate along with physician. Here as a magistrate, it demands that you must look all the other peoples who have been affected in this situation equally. But as a physician, it requires, as a magistrate, you are supposed to look every person equally in this situation, in this hazardous situation. But as a physician, you are supposed to prioritize the life of patient in this. Okay, so this is also an ethical issue involved in the case. The third could be medical ethics. Well, as a medical ethics says that life is to be saved, but obstruction is in the way as set procedure is to be followed in blood transfusion. Right. So this medical ethics, it is also being compromised, as it says that the role of a physician or a doctor is to save the life of a patient, but at the same time there are some rules or procedures which have been predefined, within which certain activity is to be carried, and one such predefined set is the blood transfusion process. Here, proper process of first recognizing or first identifying the blood type and the blood group and all those things is to be done. Then only it is to be transfused. Then only the transfusion process is to be undertaken. But the situation requires, and this all process is to be done through a blood bank, but the situation is asking them to do it on spot. Alright, so there is a compromise of this thing. So these are the three issues that are being, you can say, is compromised in it. in examination you can write 3. Then comes the second part, evaluate the options available to you as a district magistrate of the area. Well, this requires evaluation also. Well, there might be only written here is that options are available to you, but always have a look at the questions, what they are demanding. Evaluate the options, right? So first you will have to write the options and then evaluate them. So the first option, just like I said, the option should not be only 2, yes or no in format. It should be avoided. Rather, you must have at least 3 options available to you. So the first option is that you can go for the blood transfusion on the site itself, right? The second is that, well, here you have to evaluate. So while you are writing the option, just evaluate the option there itself instead of evaluating it in the later phase. So we will be evaluating it under here also. So the merit is that merit could be women's life could be saved by immediate blood transfusion. Medical ethics can be upheld by this, but there is a demerit to this also. That is violation of the set procedure of blood transfusion. May amount to the death of the woman. So there are chances that the woman may die, and again it will be a violation of the set procedure of blood transfusion. So these are the merits and demerits of the first option. The second option is to refuse to undertake the blood transfusion. Okay, so merits, simple, that you will upholding the set principles for blood transfusion escaping from the liability of any mishap that may happen during blood transfusion. Well, this is the merit na. If the district magistrate refuses to undertake the blood transfusion, then the entire team might escape from the liability in event of any mishap that happens during this blood transfusion. If the woman dies due to the improper process followed in the blood transfusion, then then there is a liability. But if refuses to undertake, then everybody escape from that liability. The demerit is that simply the woman may die. Loss of blood. Okay. Third is second. Next is the act may deprive the woman a chance to live, because the moment the district magistrate issues the notice of refusing to undertake the blood transfusion, she is being deprived of the chance to live. Obviously, there is a lot of blood is being lost, she will die. So, in event of refusal, she is being deprived of this chance to live. Okay, we can also add that right to life, that is medical treatment, Article 21 is being violated here. We can say that. And the third possibility is request for blood and resources from the nearest blood bank. So the merit is proper blood will reach the site and set procedure will be followed. Right. No liability on anybody. The demerit is that it may take some time and that can claim the life of the woman. Okay, so this is the demerit, that it may take some time and that may claim the life of the woman. I mean, the whole process may take, since it will take some time, so the woman can die. Again, you can write that right to life may get compromised. Well, you have to write this may word because here the set process is being followed. So it may happen or may not also happen. But in the earlier case, when there was a refusal, it was directly the right to life, it was compromised. So there is a slight difference to what this right to life here we are writing and what we wrote in the last option. Okay, so these are the merits and demerits. So as a district magistrate, you have attempted these two, but what should have been the course of action? Well, you have to add a slight course of action in this. Well, simply as a district magistrate or as a logical person, you must first take the consent of the victim, of the patient. You must take the consent of the patient / victim. You must document all the facts and events being events happening at the site. Okay, so everything must be documented so that in later stage, if anything happens, if any mishap happens, the documents can be a well proof against any liability that will occur. Next, after taking permission, carry out the blood transfusion process at the site itself, and by the time call for extra blood, well, you can add one more line to it, using all the available resources. Well, there are resources such as testing kit, blood bag, etc. So using all those resources, you can carry out the blood transfusion, and by the time call for extra blood from the nearest blood bank. Okay, so these are some of the 3-4 steps that you can write as a course of action, and then you can finish the whole thing by summarizing that events like this requires compassion along with set guidelines, that is bureaucratic attitude. Okay, so weightage or emphasis must be given on saving life of each person, but with prioritization. And likewise, you can quote any philosopher or something like this, any theory you can, that is utilitarian theory, ethical utilitarian theory, or any theory like this you can quote here. Alright, so likewise you can conclude the whole thing.